All right, so Costco, huh? I bet that stock price has you wondering if you should jump in or run for the hills. $1,000 a share for bulk groceries, it's enough to make anyone think twice. We're going to dig into this Motley Fool article today, see if we can figure out if Costco at this price is a steal or a trap.
You know what's wild? It's like Costco is suddenly behaving like some hot tech stock, 58 times earnings. That's the kind of price-to-earnings ratio you'd expect from a company growing like crazy. Not the slow and steady single-digit growth Costco is known for.
Okay, so help me out here. If Costco isn't exactly breaking growth records, why is everyone so eager to buy their stock?
That's where the beauty of Costco's business model comes in. It's all about those membership fees. They just hiked their standard membership to $65, the first increase in 7 years. And you know what? People are still happy to pay it.
I get that those membership fees are important for Costco, but I mean, just how much of a difference do they really make?
More than you might think. Way more. They pull in over $5 billion a year just from those fees. That's over half of their operating income. And that's the secret sauce. It lets them keep their product margins insanely low, like 1.8%. To put that in perspective, the average supermarket runs on margins around 2.2%. Might not seem like much, but in the cutthroat world of retail, every tiny bit counts.
So they basically pull people in with those crazy low prices, then those low prices attract even more members, which gives them more leverage to negotiate better deals with their suppliers so they can keep those prices low. It's like a brilliant loop.
Bingo, you got it. It's a strategy that just works. And get this, it's not just about the US anymore. They're going global, especially in Asia. That's where the real growth engine is firing up.
I've heard they're making a pretty big splash in China. Tell me more about that.
Oh yeah, they're all over it. They only went into the Chinese market back in 2019, and already they've got 7 stores up and running. Now think about this. China has 4 times the population of the US. Some analysts are even saying Costco could eventually have more stores in China than in the US. Imagine that.
That's some serious long-term potential. But hold on a sec. With Costco already having almost 900 stores all over the world, is there really room for that much more growth?
That's where it gets really interesting. Costco's CEO, Rob Vakris, gave this great example that shows how smart they are about growing. They recently opened a brand new store in Pleasanton, California. You'd think that place would be overflowing with Costco's already, right?
Pleasanton! Are you serious? That place has got to be Costco Central by now.
You'd think so, right? But here's the kicker. Not only did that new store do incredibly well, it actually boosted sales at the nearby Costco's. It just proves that even in places where they already have a big presence, Costco can still find ways to grow strategically. They know how to pick the right spots and really understand their customers.
So it's not just about adding more stores, it's about adding the right stores in the right places. Now I'm starting to get why investors are willing to pay a premium for Costco stock.
It does make you think, doesn't it? But before we get ahead of ourselves, we've got to look at the flip side. What are the risks of jumping into Costco at this price?
Let's do it. What should our listeners be thinking about before they make any decisions?
We've talked about that valuation being so high. But even beyond that, the retail world is like constantly changing. It's a tough business.
True enough. I mean, Costco's a giant, but they're not invincible. You've got Amazon online just shaking things up constantly. And then there's Walmart. They're upping their game with their own membership programs.
How is Costco handling all that pressure?
Well, their commitment to low prices is a huge advantage. They're famous for it. Rock bottom prices on tons of stuff, and that really matters to people, especially when the economy is a little shaky.
Yeah, but it's not just about price, right? There's that whole treasure hunt vibe at Costco. You never know what you're going to find. It's like an adventure every time you go.
You nailed it. That element of surprise is so powerful. It keeps people coming back even if they don't have a Lista. Costco's got this sense of exclusivity. It's hard to copy.
It's like they've got their own cult following. People really love the Costco experience.
It's true. Their customers are incredibly loyal, and that's gold in retail these days. So even with all that competition, Costco's got some serious strengths. Low prices, the treasure hunt, loyal customers, that's a pretty solid base. But no business is perfect, right? What are some of Costco's weaknesses?
Well, one thing that jumps out is they rely on a small number of suppliers. If something messed up, their supply chains, global events, or problems with a supplier, it could be hard to keep those shelves stocked and keep those prices low.
Yeah, that makes sense. Supply chains are a big deal these days. Disruptions are happening all the time.
Exactly. Another potential issue is their online presence. They're doing more online, but it's still small compared to some of their rivals.
I thought they were expanding their online stuff. I've seen more delivery and curbside pickup options.
They are. They're definitely making progress, but they're still catching up. If people keep moving towards online shopping, Costco will have to step up their game.
So it's a bit of a balancing act, right? They've got these awesome strengths, their business model, their loyal customers, their global growth, but they also have to deal with competition and this changing retail world.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why it's so important to look at everything when you're thinking about investing in Costco.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've talked about how Costco works their growth potential, the competition they face, and even some of their weaknesses. Now let's talk about you, our listener. What does all this mean if you're thinking about investing?
Well, the main takeaway is Costco has a really strong track record. Their membership model brings in big profits, and they're set up for growth both here and abroad.
But they're not without risks.
Of course not. No investment is completely safe. That high valuation means the stock price could jump around. Plus, they're always going to have competition in retail.
So is Costco a buy or a pass? What's the verdict?
Well, the Motley Fool article doesn't give a straight answer. They say investors need to look at the pros and cons, think about their own risk tolerance, and think long-term.
It comes down to you, our listener. You have to weigh those potential rewards against the risks and decide if Costco fits with your goals and how you like to invest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no one right answer when it comes to investing. What works for one person might not work for another.
And remember, this is just the start of your research. Don't stop here. Read what other analysts are saying and maybe even talk to a financial advisor.
Great advice. Making informed decisions is always the best way to go.
We're going to wrap things up soon. But when we come back, we'll finish our deep dive with some final thoughts and leave you with a question to think about. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You know, it's amazing how much there is to talk about when it comes to Costco. I mean, we're talking bulk mayonnaise and diamond rings all in the same place.
Right. And it all works.
Yeah.
Somehow they make it work.
Exactly. And I think we've uncovered some really interesting stuff today. As we wrap up, let's try to sum it all up. What are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, first off, that membership model, it's brilliant. It's not just about bringing in money. It's the heart of their whole business. It lets them offer those crazy low prices that keep people coming back.
And they're not stopping at the U.S. border. They're going global, especially in Asia. That really shows how ambitious they are.
Yeah, in China in particular. It's like a whole new world for them.
And even here in the U.S., they're still finding ways to grow.
That new store in Pleasanton, that's a perfect example. They know how to pick the right spots and give people what they want.
But let's not forget about the risks. That high start price, it could be a roller coaster ride.
Exactly. And competition is fierce. They've got Amazon to worry about, and Walmart's fighting back.
So what's the bottom line? Is Costco a buy or a pass?
Well, the Motley Fool article doesn't give a simple answer. They say you've got to think long-term. Do you believe in Costco's business model? Do you think they can keep growing? Can they handle the challenges?
It all comes back to you, the listener. What are your goals? How much risk are you comfortable with?
Right, because no two investors are exactly alike.
And don't forget, this is just the beginning. Keep researching. Read what other experts are saying.
Maybe even chat with a financial advisor. Get all the info you can.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. We've talked about how loyal Costco's customers are. But what if they took that loyalty to the next level? What if they started offering other things? Financial services, travel packages, maybe even healthcare.
Wow. Now that's an interesting thought. They're not afraid to try new things.
That's right. And that's always a good sign for investors. Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into Costco. Hope you learned something new and had some fun along the way.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, happy investing, everyone.